Yo, what up, y'all? Hey, welcome to the Purpose Hour, yo. I'm sitting here with my main man, Cortni Grange. Hey, yo, we're sitting here vibing, man, just talking, talking business, talking, creatively, how we do.
Every time.
Say, man, it's only right, man, that we just go ahead and get something. Can't let you leave the household, the man cave without, you know what I'm saying? In an introduction, man, and putting it on the podcast, man.
That's it. That's what we here.
Yeah, man. So without giving them all that we were talking about, man, what's some Jews that we were talking about, and creatively and in the space we're in.
Yeah, I think the biggest one that like we've been throwing back and forth is just like the amount of connectivity, like connective tissue that exists between all of our worlds,
Right?
And how there's an opportunity to tell the stories of what's going on in between the spaces,
Right.
But then who's gonna have the ability to like create that content? The people behind the scenes of it, so to speak.
Right. Did you always think that way, man? With like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely not. I can be honest with you, man. Like from a creative perspective, I've never felt like a creative until more recently. Like I think I've just started to get into the space where I accept that I am a creative.
Right.
And it's surprisingly coming from this journey of self-mastery, right? Like all the work I've been doing to try to like really figure out myself and,
right.
know who I am.
Yeah.
And I stumbled across this researcher, Brene Brown.
Okay.
Who talks about vulnerability, shame, all these different things, but from a perspective of research. So like this is why when this happens, we are automatically moved into like this seat of existence.
Right.
And so she was randomly jumping into like what it means to be wholehearted, like truly feel like you are your whole self. And she was saying
real.
that creative people are like inherently wholehearted.
Right.
And so wholehearted people are inherently creative. So then she started digging into creativity, and it's like creativity is not static. Like you don't just have it.
Right.
You're not just the creative, right? It requires energetic move. It's like riding a bike.
Right.
You got to push the pedals for it to
Yeah. And be your true authentic self. And we were talking about this last night on the Real Love and Basketball with Lee. I say the most powerful people are in tune with themselves or being at their highest level of themselves. Therefore, when they speak, when they create, it's coming through the screen. It's coming through the radio. You can feel it. You know the difference versus somebody that's not really on that tip. Because their power, their energy is not coming through whatever wave it is. You know what I mean? Which is super dope. That's crazy.
What freaked me out though is that she said unused creativity metastasizes like cancer. Unused creativity becomes rage, anger, resentment. And I was like, okay.
Right. So I get it.
Of not thinking of myself as a creative for so long.
Right.
Like it now explains the level of rage, resentment,
right,
like anger that we often feel, especially as Black men.
Right.
Regardless of the reasoning that we put into it, most of what we're dealing with is that we're not getting out what's inside of us. It's remaining in here. You know what I'm saying? You go to work, you do the job, but what you really wanted to create that day, it's bubbling up in here. Now you got to go home.
Freedom. Freedom is everything, man.
But that's another piece too, because like freedom, I think freedom, like we often look at it from a perspective of justice, because of the situation we exist under, being a people who come from like kidnapping, to then move into a place of like now constantly trying to fight to be left alone. Real talk. You don't even need equality. I just need you to leave me alone.
Straight up.
that forces us to the edges of like community, because we now look for independence.
Right.
But independence is not freedom. Right. Independence is a trauma response.
Right.
You become independent because like you had trauma when you was over here.
Yeah.
Freedom you can't do by yourself. So if you independent and you trying to be free,
right,
you really ain't getting nowhere near it.
Right.
Freedom requires, I can't say codependence, but like interdependence.
Okay.
Like, all right, let's say we all, like your family.
Yeah, break it down for them. Break it down for them.
Yeah, like let's say your family, my family was like, all right, we just gonna do this ourselves.
Okay.
We're gonna fund it ourselves. We're gonna live by ourselves, grow our own food, do everything. You know what I'm saying? Be completely free.
Right.
Can't do it by yourself. Right. Somebody got to cook. Somebody got to clean. Somebody has to have the children. Somebody has to like, do all the different things that are required to keep us alive.
Right.
Require more than just ourselves. The easiest example of that is like when you look at movie Castaway with Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Okay.
He was free by himself. How much fun did that look?
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? But if he was on that island with 20 other people, and all of these people were bought into the concept of like, we're going to take care of each other.
Right.
Now we easy money.
Yeah.
All I got to do is chop the wood.
That's it, man. Hey, a key word that you said was, you know what I mean? Like buy in. Like as a culture, we got to buy in. I don't care what culture it is. I'm talking about black culture, man. I'm talking about with the basketball culture, whatever culture that has been suppressed and trying to get to a certain level. Like, yo, if you buy into this concept and winning, I'm grateful for basketball and playing on a high level, but it teaches me so much about teamwork and discipline and being selfless. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're building something and growing something and want to win, it takes a team. You know what I mean? It takes a team to grow and, you know, and not be selfish, man. You know what I mean?
And the team got to buy in, like you said.
Got to buy into it, man.
I think athletics is one of the most interesting aspects of freedom. Right. Because it's basically like, look, this court, these rules, you could do whatever you want in this court and in these rules. However you want to figure out how to do the thing at the highest level. Right. But it still requires buying into the fact that like these rules exist. You will never be a top performer if you don't know how to dribble.
Right. And what's crazy part about that is some people that just refuse to buy into it and comply with the rules. So they get 1,000 texts. They may get kicked off the basketball, football team.
And they can't even show their real talent.
Nope. So now they're forced to do something that, you know, maybe God created them to do, but they went against the grain, right? Or something that truly fused them. So now, you know, they're just not living in their true self. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it can go for sports. It can go in the industry around the board.
But that's the creativity requires surrender.
Right.
Like you got to surrender to what is being given to you in order to get it out of you.
Right.
You can't tell it what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know this from shooting and figuring all this stuff out.
Yeah.
Like if you would have stuck to this got to be this way.
Right.
It's got to be this way. I mean, how many things would you not have like just explored?
Plenty.
Right.
Plenty. We talking about right now what we doing. I can only imagine like 6 months ago, you know what I'm saying?
Man,
it wasn't
no
this.
Reason other than the fact that like I thought it was supposed to be this way.
Right.
And now it's like actually it can be whatever way I tell it.
Exactly,
as
man.
long as I surrender to like what I'm receiving. And that's the flow of things. I think like now talking about creativity and where we're at in life.
Right.
It's a constant flow of in and out.
Yeah.
Whatever's coming in, I got to figure out a way to get it out.
Yeah, there you go.
And it doesn't always have to be grandiose. Right? Like as fathers, sometimes it's just, I got a creative idea how to interact with my kid right quick. And I see if it works. Yeah. Sometimes they're like, oh, and other times they're like, Dad, that was.
Yeah.
I got it. That was kind of corny. I apologize.
But I did that one day, man. And I was sitting here in this very room and I don't know, I was doing something, man. Sort of what we're doing now. We just creating whatever. And CT was across here and we was like, I was doing, recording him doing something, then I recorded me. And we was talking back and forth. And next thing you know, he said, I gave him an idea. I said, what if I do something and then I show you doing it as well in the same outfit? Almost like you're a mini me. You know what I'm saying? And it started that he was like, oh, yeah, this is dope. Let's try that. So we did one thing. Now, I mean, I was doing like sit-ups. I had him change outfits. He was sitting behind the desk and all.
Doing the same thing.
And it ended up being a video. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
A video talking about fatherhood and legacy and all that stuff. But it was just in that moment, I let the creativity flow through me and had my son involved with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it flowed and it was super dope.
Check it. how many times do you think in your life you've seen that visual of a child like doing an adult thing, i.e. a music video?
Right.
Like we've constantly seen that.
Yeah,
we can name certain songs where it's like, oh yeah, the Biggie joint, right? Like the Biggie video after he passed away, and they did the video, and instead of using adults, it was all kids.
Right.
Like we've seen these visuals before. But you got to surrender to the fact that whatever that left in you is now coming through.
Right.
And it's leading you to do something creative.
Yeah, that's dope. Hey, look, one thing too that I want to touch on. I think we tapping into something like, and I know you can understand. You know what I'm saying? Like even in this moment, I talk about it because how many moments as creators and entrepreneurs do we feel like we're in a moment right now, but we don't capture it or we don't talk about it? We let that moment pass, and then 2 weeks later, you kicking yourself in the head. You still thinking about like, damn, I should have got that. Like in this moment when we was talking, I'm like, yo, we got to get this.
Just cut it on.
Just cut it on and just do it. And I think a lot of people miss the moment. I know I can think 100 times when I let that moment pass and I'm kicking myself in the butt like, yo, we should have got that.
But I think that is where the difference between people who are creatives, right, just naturally, you in a creative space,
right,
and people who like geek out on creative content.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we geek out on the content.
Right.
Like I want to capture that moment. I can see it in this frame, and I can see it doing it. Like it's a whole storyboard to whatever, gem or a major key was dropped in that moment. Like we don't just hear the wisdom.
Right.
We see it.
Yeah. And in its entirety though, man, not like a little bit.
I see the fade into the fade out, bro. Like the whole thing,
the music and everything.
And that's the part now where like this feels empowering because I've never really known what I was creative for. You know what I'm saying? Like I played sports, but I never played at a high level.
Right.
I got into the corporate world, but once I got to that crescendo where it was like, now is the time where you have to start selling parts of your soul to elevate, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Right.
And so most of the things that I've done have just been truly deeply personal.
Right.
And through digging into myself was the way that I started to find the environments that like made more sense to who I wanted to show up in the world as.
Right.
So now, like looking at like creative digital content or video content or creating stories that can be told and be seen, it's like, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But I would have never.
Yeah.
Bro, did you think that this would be the type of stuff that you would be doing?
Man, I really didn't, man. Listen, not at all. Because to be honest with you, and Leah, she'll tell you otherwise. Like she think I'm like I'm open, I'm talking. I'm really not, man. I'm really just a shy dude who's real reserved, who think a lot and stuff like that. But I always been the type of if I see it and no one's willing to do it, I'll just do it to get it going. And I never like to be on camera. I mean, I do it because I have to, and I want to see the vision come to life. But I'd rather be behind the scenes and create and let other people do it.
Absolutely.
But as being a go getter, and you can't wait on nobody, man.
Yeah.
So it feels weird, but at the same time, man, you got to let it flow.
Right. Right. Like I have said, man, since I truly learned about myself, I have always said, confidence is my biggest defense mechanism. Like I'm not actually confident.
Right.
It's just the thing that allows me to like know where everybody's at.
Right.
Because if I'm the one speaking, then I know everyone's watching.
Right.
Which means they're not behind me.
Yeah.
They're not, whatever they're doing, I can take assessment of it. But I don't actually enjoy that.
Right.
I more so enjoy creating the conversations. I like to be not necessarily in front of the camera, but the one who's asking the questions on the camera. Or the one who's bringing the things out from other people.
Right, for sure.
Because then there's always a necessity for someone's wisdom. And people that know how to find that in other people. I see that's what I look up to. So like most of the stuff that I watch now, these podcasts and things, if they not asking good questions, like I get completely turned off.
Yeah.
It's like I can't watch it.
Right.
But if they are, like Drink Champ, like the way Nori asks questions about hip hop, or the way Joe Budden like gets real technical about hip hop, and it causes you to, whoever they're talking to like uncover some stuff that they probably never were really getting into.
Yeah,
I watch it for hours.
Yeah, that's a skill, man. That's a gift. You know what I mean? That's one thing that I noticed about you, as well as Champ, y'all, man, y'all like, I can see y'all doing what y'all do, and I see it at the highest level. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't a lot of people that I see like that, unless they on, already out there. You know what I'm saying? And I always had a gift for that, and it's almost like the past 2 weeks, people are saying, Daryl, like you're powerful, or Daryl, you got this going on, or whatever the case may be. So I'm just living my daily life. I'm just doing what I do. I'm just being who I am. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when you're doing it, you can't see, you know what I mean, what they're, it, but you just in it. But for them to say that, it's like, okay, it must be something to this. And I said that because I see that. And you know what I'm saying? You doing the work, you just being creative, you just doing what you do. But I see the people that making millions and doing what they do creatively and just in their bag.
It's the same frequency.
It's the same frequency. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like timing is everything. And I think
that's it.
You and myself and what we're doing with our brands and stuff like that is right on time and the right curve, especially with the technology available with the social media and all that stuff. Yeah. It's pretty dope to watch, man.
It is. And I think, unfortunate as COVID and the quarantine environment has been, it's created an incredible new marketplace for a lot of things.
Right.
Specifically, like we were talking about, like brand, the way content is now so important to just regular life.
Right.
Like homeschooling or virtual schooling.
Right.
Right. These Zoom, low quality videos that they got my 5-year-old son on.
This is trash, man.
Right. Like that has to compete with this Nintendo Switch that has 4K screen capabilities.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And all this graphics going on. And you want the child to be more entertained by this random person who's got 2007 HP laptop with a bad camera and bad audio.
Right.
It just it really makes me think like, yo, what is going to be the new norm with regards to like the standard of content that needs to be absorbed. Right. Like it feels like everything has to step up in order to meet the standard of quarantine. Of COVID, of the fact that like we can't be together.
Right.
So how do you get that experience?
How do you reach the kids, man, on a certain level?
You're not there. And that's just the kids. That's not even talking about conferences that happen that are in spaces where every year they looking forward to capturing those visuals, turning it into their next marketing campaign. None of that.
I know some teachers, they be like, man, this joint's so boring, it's whack. The kids, they don't stay engaged. So that goes back to like being a coach or being a teacher. The greatest teachers, the greatest coaches know how to reach their kids and their pupil and be relatable, right? Yep. So it put a lot of strain on people not to be able to do that, right? Because of virtually, but the ones that are that want to do it, maybe they don't have the capability.
That's the piece. Right? I highly doubt. I haven't seen it yet, at least, where the spaces that we exist in, you know what I'm saying, and the stuff we watch, the level of quality of content, the things that they're thinking about,
right?
Like the small details that make an environment more inviting to watch. I know that's not trickling down to like the pre-K 4 teacher,
right?
Like why it's not even a thing,
right?
But we see the world this way. And so now it's like, well, are we going to just talk about this? Or are we going to start creating things that allow us to actually be supportive and make a difference while at the same time, like making something happen for ourselves? And I think that's the big piece of it now is like natural talent 100% will allow you to make something happen for yourself. Creative talent will allow you to make things happen for other people, right? Like you can create things that other people need, and now you become invaluable. And that's why this space now feels different
Right.
And I think people see us differently is because a lot of people in our circles saw our natural talent.
Right.
The things we did first.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, you doing like that's not even you no more. That's something else. I didn't even think you could do that.
Yeah.
It's like that ain't nothing you can't do.
Right.
Just name it. Like
right.
Especially when you talk about being able to see it.
Right.
Like see the vision of it.
Yeah.
A snack? Yeah, he can have a fruit snack.
Hey man, you can't come on the show like that, man. We up here talking, man. We record.
Real life.
Hey, look, real life, man. Got kids, whole kids.
Yeah. Come on in, right? Yep, you're gonna be
come
on camera.
You on camera, right? But that's the beauty of fatherhood and family, and creative and just doing it.
It's all here.
It's all here.
That energy is important. But what I was saying around like being able to like the way we think of capturing things. Right. Like you was talking about if the mic was on and recording during the time I'm missing the gym. I think about that now when you know what I'm saying? Like we get the opportunity to bring to life anything that's in our head.
Literally.
That interaction where CT just came downstairs, that's a whole episode of something. If we wanted to talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we could create the storyboard for it and show you like this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Anything is available to turn into a story. And we know that stories are the things that people remember most because you feel them.
Right. So why do you think that why do you think some people do not act on it? Like, and some people are like, yo, I get it, I'm going for it, and some people just don't, whether it's fear, whether it's anxiety. I know a lot of people, and once again, we talked about some of this last night. We know a lot of people who are scared to be great or scared to win because they're so used to losing.
Yeah.
And being in a space where they may see it, but they'll never act on it. I'm cool right here.
Yeah, I'm good where I'm at.
You know what I mean? I don't understand. What do you think?
I mean, it's first, like I said, with the creativity piece, like it is an engine.
Right.
And so if the engine ain't moving, it becomes, stagnant. And then over time, like that engine will cease to be able to move without additional help.
Right.
Like something else is going to have to come and fix this engine.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, like the engine wasn't being used. We're talking decades.
Right.
Like whatever I have been doing up until now, in my opinion, was not creative comparative to this.
Right.
Because it was so structured. It was so, by this thing and nothing else.
Yeah.
That it just wasn't this.
Yeah.
And it took specific things in terms of like my journey of self-mastery and really digging deep on myself. It may take somebody else like having a child and really wanting to capture what's going on with that child. But it usually takes some sort of spark to get you to move out of the comfort zone.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that, man. Self-mastery. You know what I mean? That's something that we seek daily. That's like one of the hardest things, man, like ever to do. Cause you got to do a lot of self-assessing.
You do.
You got to think about a lot of things that you don't like about yourself that you need to remove, but you love it. You like that's hard, but when you do it, the beauty of it is, okay, I accomplished this thing. If you can master yourself, man, the possibilities are endless, but it's one of the hardest things ever to do.
Yeah, and that's real talk. Like what you're saying, that's just step one. Right.
Right.
The acceptance of who you are is step one.
Right.
Step two is the work to remain accountable to who you are. And then step three is like, what do you want to create?
Right.
Like you said, you've become this thing, you got this. Do you really trust yourself?
Yeah.
In all forms and functions, right? Like, do you trust your glory as much as you trust your shadow self to actually lead you forward?
Yeah.
And it's for me.
That's a jewel, man. Y'all listen. That's so much heat. That's so much fire, man.
I would tell you first and foremost, like it does start with belief. Like how you construct what you believe is the first thing. Because if you believe a thing, then that thing is available to you. If you don't believe a thing, none of it is available to you. Right?
Yeah.
So belief that comes from our thoughts, like when we logically believe something, it usually lacks empathy. Right? Like it's the ones and zeros of a thing.
Right.
belief that comes from our emotions usually lacks logic.
Right.
Right? Like, it feel good, but it ain't the smartest thing that you ever heard. So then it becomes like, okay, well, where does belief that is solid come from?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I believe it comes from something other than ourselves. It comes from a higher standard.
Yeah.
And so what the formula, like after literally, this is 4 years, but what I got the formula down to is surrender plus discernment equals belief.
Say that again, man.
Surrender plus discernment equals belief. Once you surrender, discernment will show up. Right? Like you will say, like, look, have your way, Lord. And you'll say, God willing, or whatever it may be.
Right.
Then what you're shown is the discernment. If you've done the work to accept who you are, you can see it. If you haven't, then what you're going to be shown, you can't see yet.
Right.
Because it'll be little things like that moment where you flipped off on your spouse. And not even intentionally, but like you just had a bad day. And it wasn't a big flip out. It's normal. And they used to it.
Yeah.
But you should go back and change that energetic flow.
Right.
You should apologize. Yeah. You should do something.
Right. Well, how long do you wait before you do it?
How long do you wait? That's it.
Like, eat at you all day. Let me go ahead and got that.
And that's it. So like the discernment is knowing that you should do it. And knowing that waiting too long is not a good thing.
Right.
The belief comes in when you do it.
Right.
Now you know that you can believe in the fact that instantly taking care of something actually works. You ain't got to wait no more.
Oh, man.
So now you got it.
Yeah.
You can apply it to everything else. And you can just start testing it out. Like, I remember seeing a conversation on Facebook about, do parents apologize to their children when they are wrong? And just reading the comments in terms of how different, the schools of thought were on apologizing to your children.
Right.
For me, at the place I'm at, it was like, of course I apologize to my kid. Like, first of all, what I don't want is that little sneaky mother sucker right there to not trust me.
Right.
Like, I need to be able to know where he put my shoe. Right. Because he felt like hiding it. Yeah. But that's only going to happen if you trust that I'm being honest with him.
That's real.
And you show your full self. The other piece of that, like I said about the shadow self, like, we humans. Yeah. You're going to get upset. You're going to pop off. But do you immediately correct yourself? Right. Or do you allow somebody else to tell you that you need correction?
Yeah. It's two things that being married and then being a father, like, I had to learn that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't an ego thing when it came to me being wrong, but it's like, yo, I know I need to apologize to my son because I know I was wrong. Yeah, man, you know what? I didn't listen to you, man. I apologize for it. Yep. And now I'm teaching him something like, as a man, when you do something wrong, you own up to your mistakes. You know what I mean? And then for, being a husband, bro, I never thought in a million years I would, for one, be married.
Lord.
And then two, had to change all my ways and unlearn what I saw. My father, I never saw like affectionate, him being affectionate towards my mom or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? All I saw was they did this thing. They, we'll be together a little bit, and they go off to work, and then they come home, and not being able to communicate. My family never communicated like that. We ain't never sit at no tables and eat dinner. Everybody was separate, whether, my brother in the room eating, watching wrestling, we over here watching basketball, mom watching, The Price is Right. Everything was all separate. Yeah, so to communicate in a relationship with one person for a certain amount of time was difficult. But that moment when I got, you know what, man, after reading several books, talking to several brothers, a few brothers like yourself that I respect, I'm like, yo, you know what, man, let me try this thing. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm wrong and I communicate and apologize, it was easy. Yeah. It wasn't a lot of beef. It was like, okay, I appreciate that. Now we good. Versus being stuck in my ways, sitting back, and ego, and now it's 2 weeks and going past.
You ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, I ain't got no, I ain't, I mean.
You ain't getting no loving.
No, she ain't giving no cheeks, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything's rough right now. The energy is different.
And now it's funny in that space because as that time goes on where you don't correct it, you now start to have issues with the behavior of the other person, right? Like, so the responses that you are receiving become legitimate issues.
Right.
So now that's even now it's a layered conversation because it's like, yeah, I know I should have apologized.
Right.
But like, you knew you shouldn't have done this.
Right.
But it still leads back to the fundamental point of like, if you would have taken care of it early,
right,
that energy would have never would have even been there for you to then have to receive it.
Right. That goes back to what you said, like self-mastery.
That's it.
And learning, where I come from, man, and and I'm sure where you come from too, man. Like, we don't see a lot of people thinking on their level or even try, want to get out this situation. I don't want to think like this. I don't want to be like this, but this is what I grew up in. You know what I mean? Let me tap into something different so I can get to my higher self, self-mastery, live the life, take care of my family, walk in purpose, and really live like happy. You may not be a millionaire or whatever the case may be, but you're living good.
That's it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're creating something, you walking in your purpose, you got a couple of dollars, or I'm all right.
Yeah. And that's another piece too, with like the belief is the first step, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, once you can get to a place where enough of your beliefs are based on your discernment,
right?
Like, so we got a ton of beliefs, right? Across the board from living as long as we've lived.
Right.
Most of them came from our thoughts or from our emotions. So now you got to start replacing those. Right. And then you've also got to incorporate new ones. So after that gets to a certain point of stability, right? Like, I think that's where you've got I'm good, I can handle this life, I got a couple of, like you formed based on the functions that you created, like, because your form follows your functions. Again, like, that's just the first step,
right? Yeah,
because as that's for me, like we was talking, like, that's what got the spark to get the creative energy going.
Right.
So like, now that my family's good, now that I know how to manage these relationships properly, now that I have principles, because my belief resulted in like trial and error, that then led me to now say like, okay, this is my principle. Right? These are my purpose. Right. These are the principles based on my purpose. Now it's like, I got time.
Right.
And sitting in, a place like this and chilling isn't taxing to me. It's therapeutic.
Yeah.
And I like myself.
Yeah.
And so now guess what starts to happen? Like, I start to talk to myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, what about this? Well, what about this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go call DT and we go, and now the creativity starts to come.
Yeah, man. That
stage 2 is like, all right, now that you're cool, what you want to build? And from there it's endless.
Yeah.
Because that could mean anything in any realm.
Right.
But existing in this environment or this society where, like, we know no matter what your religion is, like, we all pray to the God of capitalism.
Yeah, right.
We have to. We don't. There is no choice.
Right.
You're gonna pay rent. You're gonna pay mortgage.
Right.
You're gonna buy food, or you're gonna buy food.
Right.
All of that is praying to destruction.
Right.
So once you become creative in a sense of like outside of your normal functionality, well, now you can start looking at like, okay, well, shoot, if I gotta pray to this God,
right,
what do I want from the God? What do I want to receive in return?
Right.
And so the same principles you applied over here, you can now test them out.
Right.
But because you solid, you know what you're willing to give up and what you're not.
Yeah.
Right. So now you can go into this space and do the same construct of surrender plus discernment equals belief. But you know what you're not willing to give up.
Yeah. Hey, man. It's deep, man.
And that's where we are now. All the stuff that we're doing, creating content, like talking about who we want to help or projects we want to work on, we know what things we would immediately say no to.
Right. Absolutely. Hands down.
If somebody's out here from a perspective of like, as much as we stay in the sports arena and youth sports, and we know somebody's trying to exploit these kids, it's a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
I don't care how much money.
Yeah. Or laziness. We ain't gonna be around people that's lazy. There's a few projects that we were just talking about, man.
It ain't gonna happen.
It ain't gonna happen, bro. You don't move at the same pace, man. We don't think on the same level, man. Right. It just ain't the same. It's okay. I respect you. I love your work that you did and your gift you shared, but
that's it.
This ain't what we're rolling with. You know what I mean? You got to be okay with that. But in that moment, still feeling obligated to complete it just because you either started on it or you just service to your community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those are pieces where, again, the principles allow us to determine what is actually service.
Right.
But I think then, like, another principle that comes in is like, never be afraid to renegotiate your promises. Just because you promise to do something,
right,
and because you are a man of your word,
right.
If the promise now conflicts with your word, which one you gonna stand on? Stand on your word, or you gonna stand on this promise? Right?
Yeah.
For me,
or principle,
or the principle.
Yeah.
Right? what is it? The same person I was talking about earlier, Brene Brown, who talks about shame and vulnerability. She has this saying, when somebody asks her to do something, she says to herself 3 times before she decides, choose discomfort over resentment.
Okay.
Choose discomfort over resentment. Choose discomfort over resentment. So for example,
so break that down.
D, I want to start training a group of kids in basketball, and I love what y'all doing with C-Tab. I ain't really got no money right now, but I got a space and I got all the kids. Like, can you come through?
Right.
Choose discomfort over resentment. Choose discomfort over resentment.
Right.
Choose discomfort over resentment. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's uncomfortable to say it, but the real challenge we face is like, we don't want to be resented.
Right.
Because we brothers, you don't want to say no to me.
Right.
And it feel like, well, damn, bro. Like we don't like to feel that from
other people. Bro, that's the
so
space.
We choose the resentment. We need to just choose the discomfort and just be like, no.
That's the space that I've been in for like the past year. You know what I mean? Like I never started Conquering Purpose and doing branding and marketing and stuff like that. And even some of my partners who are doing some things athletically, training and at a high level.
Yeah.
Right? We never seen or asking somebody, yo, you know, my service is, you know, $2,500, you know what I mean, or $1,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't tell them that, you know, because the value they're getting is way more or at that price, but you within yourself like, yo, I ain't never charged nobody like that, you know what I'm saying? And then if you don't do it and you do it for less, you find yourself working on these projects and it's like, God dang, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like you resenting that instead of saying, no, I can't do it. The moment you say, no, I can't do it, and then you know you feel so at ease. So trying to find that balance is tough, but like you said, you got to do it. And I might implement that myself, doing it 3 times. And
discomfort over resentment.
That's real. That's a real thing, man.
Or just ask yourself, is my answer choosing discomfort over choosing resentment? Right. Because if it is, like, you know, you'll be able to sleep well at night.
Yeah.
If this person, you know, for whatever reason tries to come back to attack your character, like, you know why you said no.
Right.
And that's a lot of times an interesting space where, like, I feel now, especially in the digital age, like folks just don't want to get dragged.
Right.
Like, you know, they don't want to ever be in a position to have somebody else be able to tell the story in a way that like allows everyone else to jump in and just drag you through whatever the situation was. But the reality is it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
If you are principled, somebody ain't gonna bang with your principle.
Yeah.
And so it's less about trying to stay away from getting dragged or staying away from getting resented by people. And it's more about like, why are those people even in your universe? Like, why are they around to drag you in the first place?
Yeah.
What does what is the value of that person if that's how they operate?
Yeah.
Because, and this is something that one of my mentors tells me all the time. He's like, it is important to surround yourself with people that bang with your principles. Never try to convert people to your principles.
Right.
Ever. You will be much more peaceful surrounded by people who have the same principles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then additionally, leadership rises from the principles. So whoever is most principled amongst principled people becomes the leader of those people. So now you're even in a better environment to lead because you're around people that bang with you.
Yeah, for sure.
As opposed to like, come on, no, you should believe this. No, let me
Right.
It ain't our job.
Yeah,
to do that.
It's not, man. It's not at all, man.
And you may see something in somebody, and so you're investing, but that's a totally different conversation than like this person thinks this way, and I'm constantly trying to change their thinking. That ain't even our spot.
Yeah, man. And a lot of people man, we just talked about last night, man, let it go. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, man, you got to get rid out of your circle. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is, whether it's business, whether it's, you know, just working on creative projects, whether it's, you know, relationships, man, you just got to let it go because you got to protect your peace. And you also just have to be like, you know what I mean? You want people around you, man, that like, you might not be the smartest in the room, you know what I mean? Or the most intelligent or the most creative, but that's putting you in a position of challenge and growth and inspiration. You know what I mean? Like me sitting here and we talking, we vibing. Like this intrigues me and inspires me. Now I want to do more versus you always got to do the pouring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you ain't got nobody pouring into you, it's almost like the pastor of the church. They you know, praying for everybody, and they speaking life over everybody. But
speaking life into them?
Who's speaking life into them?
Mm-hmm. And that's a part of it where I think especially like as someone who was raised Christian, like that dynamic can become challenging at times because our leaders is always a conversation. It's never a conversation of is God leading them,
right?
But it is a conversation of like, who do they look to as an elder, and are those elders checking them?
Right.
We get checked.
Yeah. You know right. Absolutely.
Who's checking them?
Yeah.
And unchecked, leadership can easily become tyranny.
Yeah.
Like it can easily move into a space where like, you believe your own word or your own manifestation of the word more than you believe the word as it's written.
Which can be so detrimental because we spend all these years, decades, and centuries building something that can fall within a few seconds.
A few words.
That's it.
A few words.
And it's gone.
Choice words can all go away.
Yeah, absolutely,
man. You know, we seeing that now with this election.
Yeah.
Few choice words.
Right.
And now we got all this division.
Yeah,
it's like,
man.
oh, now I see you. It's like, but you always been there. Like, this is not new.
Yeah.
None of this is unexpected.
Right. Yeah. Just that quick, man.
It is what it is, dude.
But yeah, man, dog. I know you got a roll, man, but I definitely appreciate you for stopping past, man. Give him your social media and all that.
Oh man, so I am Cortni Grange on everything. CortniGrange. My name is spelled differently. Yes.
Okay. Bars.
But Cortni Grange is easy to find, man. Like, but I'm Cortni Grange across all platforms.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, look, y'all tune in. This can be something, man. You're gonna see Cortni a lot more working on various projects. He got DMA, you know, and some other stuff we got going on that's gonna be popping off, man. But this is something, man. You know what I mean? I am at D.Towe. And let's get it going, man. Conquering Purpose. This is the Purpose Hour. All right, y'all tap in.